I'd love to give you more specifics, but there's very little given to us by the administration. This is still, as far as we know, exactly the same threat that closed these embassies in the first place at the beginning of the weekend. Anything that we are getting in terms of details comes from those who've been briefed on the matter. Those are lawmakers, members of Congress largely, and also members of the military, all of them who say this is the most credible threat in years. The State Department says that these added closures come out of an abundance of caution. And from what we're hearing from members of Congress on the Senate and House Intelligence Committees, for example, it points towards Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula as the most likely origin of this threat, pointing toward Western interests, not only U.S. interests, and similar kind of conversations that are being heard and through U.S. surveillance between terrorist leaders, similar to what was heard before 9/11. All of this coming from administration officials, high-ranking military officers, members of Congress, all of them saying this is a very credible threat. And that, of course, adds to that global travel warning that was put out by the State Department, goes all the way to the end of August.
Now, Philip, there were no attacks over the weekend, so some might say that the closures were a success, but questions are being asked about this move considered drastic by some.
Yeah, certainly conspiracy theorists would say this was a tactical move to take away from bad headlines about the National Security Agency, whose measures had been unveiled by one Edward Snowden. The NSA, though, is again in the headlines positively this time. A lot of lawmakers who know what the NSA does say that it was precisely these programs that had been revealed by Edward Snowden that were helpful in getting the information on these possible threats coming over this weekend. So you're seeing a lot of members right now defending those surveillance programs by the likes of the NSA. Applause all the way around from both sides of the aisle, really, for that move by the Obama administration, first of all, to so radically close so many embassies in Northern Africa and in the Middle East. The fear is of a repeat of, for example, what happened on the 11th of September of last year. That was the terrorist attack on the consulate in Benghazi that killed the U.S. ambassador there. Also, importantly, there are anniversaries coming up. There is, first of all, right now, the end of Ramadan. That is one part of the story, but the anniversaries are, first of all, the 1998 embassy bombings, U.S. embassy bombings, that is in Kenya and Tanzania, and also, of course, September the 11th is coming up after all. After all of this coming together, for people in the know to say this is a very serious and credible threat that is indeed ongoing.